Teen talent. Those two words have been synonymous in Barbados for as long as Adam was a lad. The Richard Stoute Teen Talent Competition has been one of the main attractions that has allowed persons within the local entertainment and creative industry to demonstrate and showcase their talents. Join me, Rashid Holder, as I speak with one of the organizers, in addition to a former participant of the competition, as we delve into the Richard Stoute Teen Talent Competition.
Rashida, welcome to Positive Pulse. Thank you so much for joining us here
Thank
today.
you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. And you?
I'm well. Now, I got a curious question, and I'm hoping that you can help me here. Why do you think Richard Stoute would have started the Teen Talent Competition?
Well, I believe that Sir, or Mr. Stowe, as most of us know him as, he started the show way back before I was even thought about, to help develop the youth across Barbados, to give them a platform to harness their talents and showcase themselves for Barbados to see.
Okay, and in providing that platform, why do you think, it is integral or has been integral throughout the development of not just the entertainment industry, but entertainers obviously that would have passed through the competition?
Well, I believe it was very and is still very important with developing the youth, not only on stage or entertainment, development as a self, as a person.
Yeah.
Not only with singing, with how you carry yourself, how you do interviews, how you do many things in life, not only just singing, not only entertaining.
Yeah, so I guess the competition then not only brings out that creative side, but it also helps and aids in the development of the persons or the person that comes through the competition on a whole. Why do you think it's critical to keep the competition going based on all that you've said thus far?
Yeah, I believe that the show for sure has produced some great talent, some great persons, develop them personality wise and stuff. I believe that it should continue because it really helps us. And I could say for myself, because I was in the show many years, from the time I was 15 and I am going on to be 28, so I have been around the show for a long time. It helps us develop us. It gives us that confidence and stuff to take on anything throughout life. So I believe that it should continue because of that.
So you speak about giving confidence and just aiding in development, maybe social development. You learn obviously to interact with different persons, but why do you think this is important, especially in today's climate?
Well, I believe it's important to bring, what should I say, to help the young people express themselves and stuff. Like yes, education is good and stuff, but I still believe that you should have something so like you could be fully you, fully you, to express yourself and stuff. Is very important to have got that as well, and not only heading but or following this one particular path. Yeah,
because every person is not necessarily academic per se, nor may they have an interest in maybe even some of the conventional studies and what's not. So can you tell us what has progress been like for the teens in this competition so far?
So far they have learned, develop on how to do public speaking, talking on radio, talking on TV, television, develop on stage as to pinpoint how to move on stage, how to put over their songs, how to render their songs and stuff like that. Development in all aspects, a lot of different aspects that just leaving my brain right now.
Yeah.
But development in a lot of areas, a lot.
Now, just going back to something that you said earlier, you would have been involved in the competition before. How did that, help you in terms of, developing yourself?
Yeah.
And obviously where you are today.
Oh, crazy enough, when I first joined the show, and if he was here, he would tell you straight, I stood in one square at workshop and did not move. And he came right next to me, and you have to move and stuff. And over the years, it helped. Because I'm a very shy person, was shy. Way
you
more
were shy before.
Were shy, yeah, before.
I don't get that impression.
No, still a little shy, but back then it was like I was in my own shell and stuff.
Very timid then.
Very, very, very timid. So the show, him, the persons around at the time when I was coming up and stuff, even though it really helps you to come out of that bubble, to come out of that shell, and really, express yourself and branch out into being the fullest potential of you. Understand? Yeah.
No, I mean, as you said, you were able to, express yourself in a different way. Obviously, be a little more confident in your abilities and what's not. And over the years, there have been many persons that have passed through this competition. Many esteemed entertainers. So what would you say has been the most integral part in terms of being involved in the competition?
The ticklish one.
A ticklish one, but I'm sure that you can find an answer somewhere. I mean, you have probably so many thoughts when you think about the competition. What's the most important thing that you would say, or at least that you would advise any person that is thinking about getting involved?
I would say for sure it's an experience, and if you're thinking about it, just jump and do it. It's an experience that you will learn a lot from.
So finally, right, Rashida, I want to ask you this question. What do you think the impact of this competition has been on the entertainment industry on a whole here in Barbados? And what even prompted the start or the combination of the over 21 competition? Well,
the impact for sure for the show, great impact. As you know, and as many Bajans know, the entertainment industry is made up of, I could say basically all past teen talent or Richard Stoute contestants.
So if you're entertaining in Barbados and you haven't even passed through this competition, then something may have gone awry, or you just took a step.
But most persons in the entertainment industry pass through teen talent, and it was a very important, very developmental for their career. And a lot of them could tell you that they were just shy, just like me, and now they are hitting the stage and making numbers and doing the best that they can. The introduction for the over 21 that came about because we realized the teen talent, the teens very talented, but there are some persons that at that time back then when the show was much younger didn't have the opportunity to come forward as a teen and now say, oh man, I got the courage, let me go and do it. And now we created that space for them to let me come and showcase myself, although I am not necessarily a teen, but I still can do what the teens are doing.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Positive Pulse, Rashida.
No problem.
I might even give consideration now to, maybe stepping into the over 21s.
Next year.
As I've barely missed the teen segment, a year or two ago I may have been able to, join, but such is life. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
No problem.
You're going to make way now for some person else who has been a participant in this competition and can obviously speak, to what this competition has done for their musical career. So, Positive Pulse, thanks you so much for being here.
No problem.
I am Rashid Holder, and we will be continuing this discussion of the Richard Stoute Teen Talent Competition and its impact here in Barbados.
When this soca music hits, you know that you feel no pain. All my people, represent with your hand in the air.
So, In part 2 of this discussion on the Richard Stoute Teen Talent Competition, I'm joined by none other than Mr. Anderson Blood Armstrong.
Good year.
If they didn't know Blood, then just looking at the hair, they would at least have some sort of idea.
Oh, your feel is a madman. Right?
But I mean to say that, there is a close correlation between creatives and that maybe eccentric side. So
Already. And one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, dyeing my hair red.
Dyeing it red?
Yeah, it's true.
All right, well, let me talk about another decision that you would have made many moons ago, and you can tell us all about your experience being involved in this competition over years.
Well, when I decided to enter the Richard Stoute Teen Talent Competition, I think it was possibly one of the best decisions ever made. I actually started earlier the year with the Mighty Gabby, and then when I found out about the Richard Stoute Teen Talent Competition, I decided to enter. And there was so much growth in that short space of time, because at that time I started writing, and I believe I was one of the only teens at the time doing original music. I was doing original calypso, and I was singing Lionel Richie. And when I entered,
that's a singing original calypso,
and ballads, right? Bang, bang. That's how the scale went for me.
Yeah.
But I entered and I won my preliminary first thing, which gave me so much more confidence, because I was a real shy guy.
Oh.
Right? I used to walk home, I only see my shoes, right? So I knew the road.
So you were shy?
Real shy.
Whoa.
Right? But I entered Teen Talent, and I started to meet people. The impact was, you start to open up. I started to meet people. There was TC, Edwin, Brian Carter,
a host of creators,
a whole set of
people that have
the same year as me, and we became friends. So you start to meet people, you start to go out, you start to open up a little bit more confidence, in yourselves and that kind of stuff. And then Richard, obviously he held the reins tight, and he taught us so much.
So in terms of the what you've been taught, what you've learned, tell us some more about the impact of all that you've, all the knowledge that you've gathered.
I'm telling you, the discipline that I would have learned, and how to carry yourself and be professional and that kind of stuff. It helped me to move from one place to another. I was able to then find courage, in certain things, in doing interviews and approaching people, and the way you interacted with others. In fact, so much so, it impacted me so positively that within a year or two, I was sitting at my grandmother's table thinking about ways of how I could do this same thing, how I could help teens like myself, come from level 1 to level 2, level 3, and that kind of stuff. And I then even started writing songs, for other teens within a couple of years.
Right. So it was
a serious impact.
It's so interesting
positive.
that this is Positive Pulse after all. So it's so good to hear you relay these stories. My final question to you at this time would be, if I wanted to travel this road, or some person wanted to travel along a similar path, what advice would you give them?
My advice would be to listen first, because there's a lot to be learned, right? You're going to come here not knowing anything, and that's what you got to tell yourself. I know nothing. I want to sing, and I want to learn, because there's so much that you can gather, especially you may have a fantastic voice, but you may not know how to use that voice in the right way. And there are people here around Teen Talent Competition that will help you to learn how to dress, learn how to walk, and most of all, they might teach you how to sing better than you were singing when you entered this competition. So
that mentorship aspect is obviously very integral in terms of what happens within the competition, and even before the competition.
It's been like that for eons, and I think that if you want to learn and you want to grow, Teen Talent, Richard Stoute Teen Talent Competition is a good start.
Well, it seems to have been a good start for you.
It was.
And I definitely want to, thank you so much for joining us here on Positive Pulse. Hearing all of these positive stories, is definitely something that we would like to share with the wider public.
Yeah, well, share.
Share. Well, my name is Rashid Holder, no blood, just Rashid Holder. I'm your host for Positive Pulse. We want to thank you so much for joining us.